Welcome back to SN Hockey. It's not every year that we witness the arrival of a generational talent, the kind of player who changes the game. Think of players like Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, or most recently with Connor Bedard. These draft picks are on a different level and they are quickly becoming legends of the sport, not to mention they are already the faces of the NHL. While players like Macklin Celebrini and Jack Hughes are incredible in their own right, and will definitely leave their mark on the NHL, there's somebody that I think is just on another level, and he will most definitely be the prize jewel of the 2026 NHL entry draft for one lucky team. Hockey is a sport that has always had its fair share of bloodlines that achieve success at the NHL level. Think of different families like the Tkachuks, the Sutters, the Hughes, the Subbans, and many more. They've had varying levels of success between their family members. Whether it's a father, a son, or in the case of today's video, a cousin, hockey is proven to have talent that is most definitely hereditary. So with family in mind, let's go ahead and talk about the topic of today's video. The family tree that we're taking a look at is actually that of the second most recent first overall pick, and someone that will be a main point of today's discussion. The family tree is of course Connor Bedard's, and he has a younger cousin that is going to take the NHL by storm. NHL fans, meet the cousin of Connor Bedard, Gavin McKenna. McKenna is poised to be the very next generational talent that the league has to offer. And alongside his older cousin, he will be one of the biggest faces in Canadian hockey for the next 15 plus years. Gavin McKenna has been turning the heads of scouts and fans alike with his insane talent level and ability to produce numbers that will make your jaw drop. We are looking at the type of player that will sell seats at an arena and will have fans traveling just to get a look at how talented they are. He will most certainly change the trajectory of one lucky franchise, just like Bedard did. So mark your calendars, hockey fans, because the 2026 draft is going to be a monumental day for one franchise as well as the whole league. McKenna is coming, and his future dominance is at the point now where it looks absolutely undeniable. It all began up north in the Yukon territory for Gavin McKenna. The native of Whitehorse had a ton of challenges in pushing forward with his hockey career. His climb as a prospect is incredibly impressive, there's no doubt about it, but it is equally inspiring, which I don't think many fans are truly aware of. At just 14 years old, Gavin McKenna has already made a name for himself by dominating U18 prep hockey. Just imagine a 14-year-old kid scoring 65 points in 35 games against some of the most talented players that are 3 years older than him. It's truly remarkable what he has been able to achieve. And of course it caught the eye of pretty much every junior scout in the entire world. Much like was the case with Sidney Crosby and his infamous beat-up old washing machine in the basement, McKenna also had a simple way to train as a young kid, shooting pucks in his unfinished basement, where he made sure to put a ton of holes in the wall. But he also took his training outdoors, and has always discussed how important his outdoor rink was, where he would shoot over 100 pucks every day. If you know anything about the Yukon, then you know that the elements wouldn't have been very forgiving to him. And you know that it would make shooting 100 pucks every day a bit of an uncomfortable task, to say the least. Of course, when you're this high level of a prospect, there's a ton of expenses that come with it. Travel being the most prevalent, especially considering where he and his family were located. Of course, his parents worked incredibly hard to allow McKenna to have all these opportunities, but it wasn't just a family initiative. We constantly hear the saying that it takes a village to get someone to the NHL, but I don't know if there's any more clear case of this than with Gavin McKenna. The entire community of Whitehorse worked to allow McKenna's family the opportunities to send him to different camps and tournaments alike by supporting them through various fundraisers and initiatives. Think of things like collecting cans and bottles to sell for extra cash. His family has spoken about how every garage sale and every raffle they would have, people would spend money regardless of whether or not they wanted what was being sold, simply to help Gavin McKenna get to the next level. To say it's a heartwarming story about a community would be an absolute understatement. Gavin McKenna's hard work and talent ultimately earned him exceptional status in the WHL. This is something that has only been given out 3 times in this league to the aforementioned Connor Bedard and recently traded prospect Matthew Savoy. At 14, Gavin McKenna was drafted first overall in the WHL by the Medicine Hat Tigers. The Tigers were coming off a tough season with just 11 wins and 53 losses, but they saw in McKenna the player they needed to turn their organization around. McKenna's talent, dedication, and support is definitely a story worth listening to. From the frozen backyard rinks to the bright lights of the WHL and eventually the draft stage as the number 1 overall pick. McKenna, of course, has turned and will continue to turn a lot of heads along the way, But just how great is the 16-year-old prodigy, and what has he been able to accomplish so far in the WHL? Gavin McKenna's stats speak for themselves. At just 15 years old, he was already making the WHL look easy. He posted an impressive 18 points in 16 games with 4 goals and 14 assists. A point-per-game pace at 15 is a remarkable feat for somebody that young in a league that is ultimately dominated by 19 and 20-year-olds. But McKenna didn't stop there. This past season, in his 16-year-old year, he elevated his game to a whole new level. He was well over a point per game, racking up 97 points in 61 games, which included 34 goals and 63 assists. His performances were nothing short of dominant, and they showed how incredible of a prospect he really is. His talent was also on display on the international stage in the U17 and U8 tournaments alike. He was a force to be reckoned with for Team Canada. McKenna scored 20 points in 10 games at the U18s, trailing just 2 points behind the United States star James Hagens, who looks like he will be the first overall pick in this upcoming draft. But McKenna didn't just put up stats. He led his team to victory, and he was key in Canada's U18 gold medal win. It was made especially more memorable considering the nature in which they won the game. McKenna led Canada to a 6-4 comeback win against the USA, and in this game he notched a hat-trick with an assist as he cemented his status as one of, if not the top prospect in the entire world. As a 16-year-old, Gavin McKenna was one of the top 3 players on Canada's U18 team. His performance should make him a lock for the 2025 World Juniors, and I expect he will really put himself on the map with the more casual fans in this tournament. His incredible overall play earned him the honor of winning CHL Rookie of the Year, and I don't think there's much arguing that you could do for anyone else. This season was absolutely excellent for McKenna, but it is just the beginning. Let's take a dive into the numbers and compare the stats of the 3 generational talents that we talked about earlier: Connor Bedard, Connor McDavid, and Gavin McKenna. Starting with rookie year production, in the WHL, McKenna's stats are incredibly similar to Connor Bedard's. Bedard recorded 100 points in 62 games, while McKenna put up 97 in 61. Both prospects demonstrated right away that they were on another level compared to their peers. Now let's look at their U18 tournament stats. McKenna outperformed Bedard with 20 points in 10 games compared to Bedard's 7 points in 4 games, although Bedard also played in the U20 World Juniors. McKenna's dominance at the U18 level is definitely noteworthy. In comparison to Connor McDavid, McKenna's production at the same age is definitely more impressive. McDavid had 66 points in 63 games with Erie, while as I mentioned, McKenna had 97 in 61. With stats like these, McKenna is not just living up to the hype, but I'd say he's even exceeding it. If you're not sold yet, just wait for the 2025 World Juniors, where he will be playing against some of the best competition his age group has to offer. Gavin McKenna is poised to be an absolutely exceptional player at the NHL level. McKenna will be a franchise-altering player. Around the NHL, you've always seen teams that have a star player, but you don't always see a team that has a talent on a completely different level from everybody else, and one that finds the game easy even once they get to the NHL. Whichever team selects McKenna will most certainly build their franchise around him, just like we have seen in the past with players like Bedard, McDavid, and Crosby. During his prime, McKenna should be in the conversation for the best player in the league. His combination of skills and work ethic are something that you don't see in prospects all the time, and the stats point towards him having the potential to rival Bedard as the next generation's face of the NHL. McKenna is on the verge of an incredible career, and we're just beginning to see what he's capable of. So get ready, hockey fans, because McKenna is set to take the NHL by storm and show you what it means to be a generational talent. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think about Gavin McKenna below, and as always, I'll see you next time.